Hey, everybody. Hey. This is Barrett Matthews here. We're live, as you can see. I don't see the recording going though. Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Had to make sure that we were live. But I want to welcome you to Media Boss Live again. Again, this is what our second one. So I'm excited to have you guys here. Have a great guest for you today. I think you're gonna enjoy him. I don't know why you're not seeing me right now, but let me make sure something's wrong with the camera. Let me see if this will work. Well, I don't know why you're not seeing me. You're seeing my guest Junaid, but you're not seeing me. That is really weird. Uh, but let me see here if I can. Well, I don't know if that does it. Junaid, do you see me? I'm gonna bring Junaid on right now because Junaid's an expert on this stuff anyway. So, Junaid, do you you still don't see me? Uh-oh, and I don't hear you for some reason now. Heard you before, I don't hear you now. I don't know why that is. We got some issues this morning, don't we? I don't hear Junaid. Why is that? I just heard him a second ago, guys. I promise you. And you hear me, and you don't hear him. Why is that? It says guest in green room muted, but you're not in the green room now. So I don't know why that is. That is really interesting. Let me see if this. Hmm. This is interesting. I don't know why this is. And I apologize, everybody, because I don't know why it's doing that. Audio. Yeah, speakers are set. Uh-huh. Let's see. Can you hear me, Janae? Okay, I don't know what is going on. Why I didn't change any of the settings from the other day, so this is really weird. Back to live mode. Change it to current. Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe that'll do it. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
I'm on a broadcast,
Okay. Yes, can you see
and
me?
there you are.
Okay,
There
there
you
we go.
are.
We're up now. We're up and running, guys. Okay. Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties we had to work out, but we got them straight now. Welcome to Media Boss Live. This is our second one, so you see we're still working out the kinks. And I am actually excited because I got a good friend of mine here today, and we're going to talk to you guys about how to build a home studio. As you can see, I did this purposely. I didn't use a green screen today because I left mine as raw as it can be because he's going to rip me apart today. But I'm okay with it because we got some plans in motion, so I'm excited about the changes we're going to make. I'll probably have to have him back on after we make the changes, but I want to bring to you guys a good friend of mine who is an expert at home studios, and that is none other than Junaid Ahmed. Junaid, welcome to Media Boss Live, my friend.
Hey, Dr. Barrett, thanks so much for bringing me on. I'm super excited to be here. That was a fun start for sure.
Wasn't it? Well, look, hey, the other day I had one with echo, so hopefully there's no echo today. But
No,
yeah,
I get
this
to hear
one,
you only.
would you say?
I just hear you, and that's all I need to hear.
Well, yeah. Well, that's good. Well, the people on the I didn't. My guest didn't hear an echo the other day. The people listening outside heard,
Oh, got it. Okay.
but they let me know, and like halfway through it, we fixed it. So it was the echo cancellation button that must not
Gotcha.
clicked, and it's clicked right now because I see it right in front of me. So so anyway, on this note, it's like I was telling you before we came on, you have a lot of layers to what you do, and I will go into some of them as we go on. But I want to talk about home studios because as everybody can see here, if you look at Junaid right now, you can see his background is incredible. Is incredible. You see his home studio looks fantastic, and he goes all around the country doing this for people. He does it for a lot of people. So and look at what he's got here. He's got different views and different camera angles and so forth. Look and see what he
Oh,
can do there. And I, I want you to talk about, first of all, how you even got into this, and then we'll delve into, how you can actually do that for other people. So how did you get into the home studio setup?
man, that's a great question, Dr. Barrett. So kind of I've been recording videos for a long time, right? So I've been producing video for others through my video production business for the past decade and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And went to took Hollywood classes. I took like the first, just to rewind a little back. My very first camera was a gift from my uncle for like $1. It was a film camera. This is back in the
Nice.
'80s, and I was just so fascinated by what it could do, and I took a
Yeah.
ton of photos. Fast forward 2013, 2012, my wife got me a DSLR camera for our anniversary, and prior to that, I was already recording videos and using a kind of like a film camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then so with the DSLR introduction, I was like, wow, this is gonna change how I do things. So I
Okay.
jumped in head first, took 20 different courses on how to use this camera properly. And I, went to Hollywood video production. I joined a lot of different meetups, did a lot of behind the scenes shooting, using all the skills that I had learned over time. And it was just so amazing. Now, fast forward again to
Uh-huh.
the pandemic, I had been doing a lot of content creation. And since we were all working from home, I was like, I don't like what I see in the camera. Let's
Uh-huh.
put my know how into how to set up stages into my own room. And of course, there was a lot of inspiration from others like Pat Flynn,
Yeah.
Louis Petrucci, all these amazing people that had been creating live stream content from their homes. I'm like, wait, what are they doing? And how can I do that? And then what I realized is that already had all the gear. So I started putting my room together, and people saw me on Zoom calls and they're like, "Why is your video so sharp? What are you doing differently than what I'm doing?" And I,
Mm.
I just talk to them like, "Hey, I'm doing this with the lighting. I'm using this kind of camera, this kind of audio." They're
Yeah.
like, "Wow, you should be teaching this stuff." So I was like, "You don't say." So I jumped into teaching and started consulting. So now I have a course. I do virtual consults. I fly out to people and then set up the studios. In fact, next week I'm doing a 5-day home studio rehab challenge, again helping people figure out, hey, this is what you need to be doing in your space. This is what you were thinking about when you show up on camera. And yes, we have our smartphones and we love creating content with a smartphone, but what's important is that to you want to bring both types of content to your public. You want to bring the professional quality content and the phone content so people see your authenticity and your professionalism. And it's just been a lot of fun. And that's a long story short. That's how I got into this.
So at what point, how did you know that this was something how did you know that you were good at this? How did you know that, you know what, I can do this better than some other people out there? You know what I mean?
Well, it's all a matter of working on the stuff that you're passionate about. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been in the film space and photography space for a very long time, and bringing that tech into my room was much easier for me because I've been doing it for others for a long time. When I'm setting up scenes, when I'm setting up stages, and recording content. On top of that, I'm a huge tech nerd. So I understand technology from the inside out, right? So I've been building computers since I was 20 years old, and I've been building software and solutions for over 20 years for others as well as a user experience designer. So I brought all of those experiences into how to put this together.
Wow. So that's incredible, man. Because I mean, I've seen some of your work. and besides the one you live in right now, but
Yeah.
but you do excellent work in studio development and as a called your studio architecture, we should call it.
Right, the home studio architect.
And I tell you, in college at first I started out as an architecture major. Didn't want to do that, so I'm glad someone else is taking on that role when it comes when it comes to studios is concerned. Now
Amen.
let me ask you something. When it comes to home studios for people, what do you think is the biggest challenge people run into?
Building a home studio is there's a lot of different variables involved,
Hmm.
right? So not only do you have to think about the audio, the video, the lighting, the room setup. That's 4, 5 variables already. And just to get good at really one variable is a hard. So there's a huge learning curve in how to get good at all of those things. And once you have all of that down, guess what the next thing is? How do I speak well when I'm in front of the camera? How do I deliver the message that I have? So a lot of people are already working and already are good at delivering their message, but they don't have the tech right. Or a lot of people already have the tech right, but they don't have the deliverability. Or they have one or the other. And sometimes people just don't have the time to do the setup. So again, it's a lot of different variables that come into play, and it all comes down to, hey, where are you right now, and where would you like to start? So what I've done is I've created this, the 7 stages of, or the 7 levels of home studio. So which one do you fall under? And it's a pretty cool little document that I created, just for people to say, "Hey, where am I at right now? What am I doing, and how can I get to that next level?"
Wow. So, I mean, just from hearing you say that, that sounds like a daunting task for someone who's looking to get a podcast going, or who has looked to do broadcasts or live streams like I'm doing right here. That's a lot. That's a whole lot to put into place. And so, for you guys listening, I hope you're understanding that it behooves you to have somebody that knows what they're doing, because he's going to take my place and just turn it into something. I can't wait to see what it turns into, because it's got to look better than this.
We're definitely going to transform that home office into a studio to bring Dr. Barrett to the forefront. I mean, you're already in the forefront. I mean,
Well, thank you, sir.
you've done some amazing things, and I can't wait to see uh, the evolution of that space.
Well, thank you. I can't wait either. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And I want to let you guys know something early on right now, that coming up in April, I'm going to be doing a media master class from the studio. We may not have it revamped by then, but just for those of you who want to learn all these things when it comes to media, the things that I'm teaching in these live streams, which you want to go a little bit more deeper into it. We're doing that in April, the beginning of April. I believe it's April 3rd. So if you guys want to be a part of the master class, I'll be letting you know how to get signed up for that. Now, back to Junaid. So I'm excited because let me just tell you a quick backstory. This is the funniest thing, you guys, and and I laugh about this all the time. I met Junaid in Florida in 2023 at a conference, Podfest conference. He was there for the Go Box Studio, which we'll talk about in a second. And I met him there. And then eventually I became partners with Go Box Studio for my podcast. And when I was got my Go Box, I was told to contact my local rep here who could help me to get things set up. Who was it? Junaid. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I come to find out Junaid and I live less than an hour away from each other.
That's
Less
true. That's true.
And what's funny about it is that we had not seen each other since that Florida time until the next conference in Florida. So
In
a whole
Florida.
year went by. We never got together in our local area. But
That's right.
Florida seems to be the spot to go. So we'll have to go meet up in Florida, I guess, again sometime. But
Amen, amen. Yeah, Florida is just about to be the Podfest community is just amazing, right?
it
They
is.
have so much value. There's so much compassion in that community. I love it.
And and I want to talk about that because in what you do you find that a lot of people who are running podcasts, who are in that podcast community, are either needing your services or utilizing your services? How's that working out with you?
Absolutely, yes. So because I'm a podcaster myself for the past 6 years, I've interviewed over almost 500 guests on the podcast. It's been a fun conversation, and getting to meet these people in person, it just blows my mind. And what's fun is um, I get to share my knowledge and my expertise with these folks through the community. Being been speaking at Podfest convention myself, and that's been really really good because you got to start somewhere, and once you get started, people start to know who you are, and
Hmm.
they want to go to you and refer to you anytime somebody needs help in that space. So it's been really good because I speak their language, they speak my net language, and I can help them get to that next level of their studio, like I call it, right? The 7 stages home studio evolution, how to go from a beginner to a broadcast quality.
I love that. Now speaking of the seven stages that you're talking about there, is this something that you train on, or is it something? Is it a product that you offer for purchase? How does that work out?
So this is actually going to be an ebook that
Okay.
I'll put out for people that want to learn. Hey, where am I at, and how can I get to the next level? So it's an ebook that'll be available next week that
Okay.
people
Oh,
can go
great.
to homestudiomastery.com and download it.
Now, I'm asking that because I wanted to know: did you want to tease it as like what the seven steps are, or do you want to just wait till they get the book out and then they can find out for themselves?
I mean, I don't mind teasing it. I'm
Okay.
all
Okay.
about sharing
Hey, this is your
information.
opportunity,
So,
brother. I want to.
right, right. So, here are the 7 different stages of the home studio uh, evolution. Right. So the first stage is level one, the novice. Right. You're starting with basic gear. You understand the significance of your space, acoustic potential, and what are some of the quick fixes that you can do to, be better in this novice stage. Of course, the next level from that is the hobbyist. You have enhanced your equipment and you've gotten better with soundproofing. So you've upgraded to intermediate gear that fits your budget, simple soundproofing and acoustic treatments, and you start to begin to see the importance of visual aesthetic. Making sure the things that you see in the stage or on video are the proper one, right? Because if you watch television, if you watch movies, and we have been doing this for many years, right? They literally stage the space, the shot that they want to take. They put things properly. When they say product placement, and you'll see different products, right? I've got a bug repellent here, but if I had it in the shot somehow, or put together, oh my god, you must be outdoors, or you must be promoting something that's outdoors. So again, thinking about those things on when you're setting up your space is super
Mm.
super important. Important. So again, you start to understand. So that's the level two, the hobbyist. The next level up is the enthusiast, right? You understand the aesthetics, you understand acoustic balance, you start focusing on the visuals without compromising the audio quality, because you want to make sure that you are bringing the best um, on your based on off of your enthusiasm. And I think when I started, I was probably an enthusiast. I was starting to look at, okay, what can I do here, how can I make this look better? And over time you upgrade the lighting, you upgrade the camera over time. It doesn't have to be all in the first time around, right? Just like when you buy a house and you have your living room, you might have one couch in there, and then over time you have paintings, you have more couches, and it's a over time you just level up. The level 4, advanced equipment, and you have specialized areas in your space. And these areas might be defined for, hey, I'm going to be doing this kind of thing in this area. I'm going to be doing this kind of thing in this area. What I have back here in my studio is I have a little desk space over here where I can do overhead shots and talk about different things as I am, describing a
Mm.
product and whatnot. Then the level 5 is the professional integration of high-end gear and software, and I've, done that by using Ecamm Live, and that's a software that you're using as well. Level 6 is the expert broadcast quality. You have, the best quality, the best video, everything is crisp, everything is sharp, and it becomes your studio becomes a versatile space for producing a ton of type of different content. And of course, the last one is level 7, the broadcast master. You're you're going beyond the studio, you're expanding influence because now your studio is part of the larger content creation strategy, including mobile setup. So we were talking about the mobile setup with the Go Box Studio. It brings your brand together, brings your collaboration with other brands together, and you're also set up for live streaming, interviews, multi-angle shoots with ease. So again, your journey is it's an evolution of time, and just like I've got 4 kids, and they are all at different stages, different ages and different stages. And you all start at one spot, and then over time, you're going to get better at where you are based on how much reps you put in and how good you are at the one thing.
Wow. Now, so you gave a lot of different hacks there that people can do to upgrade their studio, and I like that. I like that a
Hmm.
lot. But you touched on something that really well triggered my next question.
Hmm.
Do, Now, is this something that you do when you do the studio setups, or is it something that they need to do? And what I mean by that is equipment. Is that
Yeah.
something that they should be looking into? Is that something you help them with?
So I help them with all the equipment based on the budget that they want to spend.
Mm,
So a lot of us already have really high-end smartphones like the iPhone
mm,
or the Samsung Galaxy, and they have really good cameras that you can immediately
right.
start using in your setups, right? And most people don't think of them as really good webcams, but the fact of the matter is they are much better than the webcams that you buy from the store because you know your phone is $1,000 whereas a webcam would be probably $100
Yeah.
max or $200 that you might be spending on. So there's a ton of things that they can already do with their smartphones. With the lighting, you can use lighting that's from the coming through the window, or you can use lighting by buying good lighting for your space. Again, there's a ton of things that I walk through um, them based on their budgets, based on where they want to go and which level they want to start. Right.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to how comfortable are they with tech and how far they want to go and how much practice they want to put in there as well.
But and it's funny because like you had just mentioned about the lighting. Like right now, the lighting on this side of me is
Hmm.
actually with the light that I have, with my Go box. The lighting on the
Hmm.
other side of me
Yeah.
is actually natural lighting. So
Hmm.
it's interesting that that you said that, but lighting is so important because I'll tell you guys one thing. And we're going to talk about the Go Box Studio in a second, but the lighting that
Hmm.
comes with that is remarkable. I noticed an immediate difference once I got it, and how I looked on camera, and it's like, oh my god, it's like I can
Yeah.
see me. I didn't see myself before until I saw that.
Yeah.
Really, a huge difference, and the camera is incredible too. So, Junaid, I'm going to let you take a second and talk about the Go Box Studio if you don't mind.
Of course. So the GoBox Studio is a portable video studio in a box that we, with my partner, my creator, the inventor, Ken Okazaki, created this product, and it was actually from on a request from a very important guy. We don't really advertise it a lot. but it was you probably heard of this guy, Mr.
Hmm.
Hermosi. He requested something like this, and at first Ken was like, "No, no, no, I don't do hardware." But then Ken is like me, we're both hobbyists. We both love to tinker with tech. So he jumped in head first, designing all of these things together and putting all the hardware together because Ken himself also sets up studios and he set up his own studio. And, we're both tech savvy photographers and filmmakers. So it made it was a labor of love. It took a lot of time, and after the 10th iteration, we were able to introduce the GoBox Studio to the market back in September of 2022 in traffic and conversion, and it just hit off really well. And since then we've done a lot of different conferences. In fact, I have so many different you know exhibitor cards over here that I've started like, yeah, I've been
Oh,
to
that's
all of these
funny.
places, met so many people, right? So we've showcased this product literally almost not almost every state, but almost every um what do you call that area, like East Coast,
Yeah.
West Coast, and Midwest. We've
Dude, you,
been
you travel.
everywhere.
You do some traveling.
We've done some traveling for sure, a lot. So that's the GoBox Studio. It comes with cameras, lights, microphone, everything that you need to create a really nice broadcast. In fact, Barrett, are you using the GoBox Studio right now?
I certainly am.
Yeah, so it just makes it really easy, and you could take it anywhere with you. So if you're traveling, like
Yep.
Dr. Barrett can literally go into a different room in his house and produce this show from there as well, changing the scenery, and that's how easy the GoBox Studio is to create
Yeah.
content.
If you actually look at I believe it was season 4 of my
Hmm.
Media Boss podcast, you'll see in some of the episodes there that I'm not. I'm in the same room with the people. Those actually were shot with the Go Box in Salt Lake
Yeah,
City, Utah. I took it
there you
out to
go.
Utah with me, and we shot some podcast episodes out there. So if you check out the Media Boss podcast, you'll see those episodes in the shot, and you'll also notice the
Hmm.
quality of the picture. And you check them out on YouTube. Just go to go by actually, go to Media Boss podcast and check out how the Go Box shoots it. It's an incredible piece of equipment, and I am so happy I have it. I love it. The camera quality, the lighting, and the ease of which to use it. The only thing, when I say I have technical issues, it ain't the Go Box. It's me learning Ecamm. So that's
Yes, again, right. There's a lot of variables involved in running that, and I walk through every single person that purchases the GoBox
that
Studio
he
to
does.
to
That
you
he
know
does.
learn. Hey, this is how you run a show. This is how you do your thing, and the more you practices, the better you understand. Hey, this is the type of show I want to run, and then based on that, we customize the show for you, customize the keys for you, so that it's you know it becomes part of your solution. Becomes part of your show. And like you said, it's portable, so you can take it with you on the plane,
It fits in the
wherever you're
carry-on.
going. Yeah, it fits in the carry-on, and we made it specifically for that, that size. And I don't think there's anybody else making anything like this. I might be wrong. I mean, there are a ton of different solutions, but this is a really cool uh, 2 minute setup portable video studio.
Yeah, I met a guy who said he designed something similar, but I haven't seen it in the marketplace. So you are you are the one out there with this, and
That's right.
it's fun to use. But the cool thing I notice about it, because like I said, I know Junaid travels a lot of places. I know I've traveled with it, and I noticed when I travel with it, and I noticed when we were at Podfest, everybody says the one thing: I want that. I need that.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
all want when they see it. That's because they're like, I want that because they can see how it streamlines everything and makes it easier for them to do what
Yeah.
to do what they do with their podcast. And I want you to talk, if you can, about what you did this year at Podfest with GoBots and the reaction you got from the people while you were there. Because, like I said, I saw you when you first set it up there, and I just kept walking by eventually, and I just thought it was amazing of
Yeah.
how people gravitated to you. So talk a little bit about that if you can.
it was a lucky spot for sure, and I was walking around the hallways, and I'm like, "Hey, I just need a sofa and a little table." And the cool thing is that I brought a table with me because I was like, "I'm not gonna find a coffee table that's gonna fit the Go box, or it's
That was
not gonna be
smart
the
though.
right height." So I took a little table with me, and basically walking around the airport, walking around the hotel. And then I was like, hey, this is a pretty good spot. And I didn't realize that across from that spot was the all the meetups were happening for the creator track. So it just got so lucky that I got to set up the spot, and then it's right in the walkway as people are going through. It was removed from the exhibit. It was removed from the main central hall, but it was a really nice spot with a few sofas and a few chairs that people got to sit and have a conversation. And it because I've been podcasting, I invited people to come on and have a chat, because what do podcasters love to do? They love to talk. So, I got the chance to meet a lot of cool people. Got to also meet people that I've interviewed on my podcast over the years, and got to meet them in person for the first time, for the second time, and they got to come and record content and have conversation using the GoBox Studio. Uh, there's a few friends that are like, hey, I want to do a live stream on this topic, and can I use the GoBox Studio? And I was like, absolutely, please go ahead. So there was a few other people that were also using the GoBox Studio in that space, and I specifically spent some time finding a office, basically a office level um, internet connection. So when you're at hotels, when you're at events, you never have good internet quality, right? So I brought my own, um, basically a little Wi-Fi hotspot to enable us to live stream to different places.
Yeah, I thought that was real cool too that you did that because it was amazing. I mean, this is no joke, guys. I was there for several days. Every time I walked by, there were people using the Go Box, and the funniest thing about it, about half the time, Junaid wasn't even there
Yeah, and that's
because
the time my friends were like, "Hey, I want to use the GoBox to do this live stream. I want to use the GoBox to talk to my team and whatnot." Like one gentleman was like, I actually have a meeting. I was supposed to record a podcast
oh
with
god,
my teammate, and I was like, I totally forgot. So I'm like, sure, you can use the GoBox Studio here, and
oh that's so
he got to
funny.
use it.
What was real cool was that there were people who literally came with their set decoration. They
Yes,
sat
that's
on the couch at the hotel and put their stuff over the pillows and everything. I'm like, oh my god, they got this thing on. They were ready for this.
they were ready for this because so that's my friend Brian Schulman and Nancy Barrows. They've been running the longest and the coolest LinkedIn live shows called Shout Out Saturdays and What's Good Wednesdays. So
Mm.
this was a Saturday that they were doing the show, and they've got all the gear. They've got the apparel. So I was like, yes, they actually got to use the GoBox Studio at the last Podfest in Orlando at the Wyndham. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, you guys can use the GoBox, and I think they did a 4-hour live stream
Mm. Wow.
there while in
Wow.
Orlando.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, and people kept coming by. I know Deidre came by with Cap Show, and
Mhm.
they did a little bit. It was fun. I actually used it. I was there with Kay and Samantha. We did a little interview there with the Go
That's
Boxes,
right.
but it was a lot of fun. And I know you're probably wondering if you're watching right now. So, what is this Go Box? What is it like? Well, tell them, Janae, how they can find out more about Go Box Studio.
Absolutely. So head on over to goboxstudio.com. It is simple as that. Gobox studio.com. Check it out. There's a ton of video. There's a ton of content on there. You can even check out the GoBox Studio. Um, what do you call it? The GoBox Studio YouTube channel. There's lot of training videos there
There
as
is,
well.
yeah. Yeah, there is a whole lot of training on that as well. So one of the things that I told everybody, Junaid has a lot of layers to him, and that's why we're going to get back to the studio in a minute because I want to talk to you about studio setup. But Junaid has also made himself an expert in artificial intelligence, and
Mm.
you go around. That's like he's being modest. He knows a lot more than I do. And where do you see Super Junaid at work? So I want to, I want you to talk a little bit about AI and how you see it moving along and what you've been doing with it.
AI is simply now accessible to the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
What's the fun thing is it's been around for almost 20 years. Every time you use a search engine, every time you use a website, there's AI in the back working to deliver you the content that you're looking for. And the search engine has been doing the same thing. They crawl the web, and now what's happening with OpenAI and this technology being available, you're now able to use it for your own purposes. And some of the first use cases people started using for was to create copy, because that's the hardest thing, right? Copywriters are really a huge commodity. I don't know if I said it right, but copywriters make the world go around. So AI, because it's based on text, learning text from people, it browsed all the internet, right? And then now it's able to give you information based on what you're asking. So it's called a large language model,
Mm-hmm.
and it learns just like we do as human beings, right? So that's why it's called artificial intelligence. So human intelligence is based on us learning information from books, from videos, and then we are able to then put it together and compile our thought process. So large language models do the same thing. Now the cool part and Mid Journey was under fire because they scrape the internet for all sorts of images, and then they train the AI to learn all sorts of imagery and create and assign words to it, and then you can give it a prompt for it to then generate imagery. In fact, Sora AI, which is not public yet, and it's going to be a while before it comes out, based on
Mm-hmm.
the conversation uh, MKBHD had with the Sora team over at OpenAI, it's still something years out for public consumption, but it's basically able to create a video content for you based on your prompt.
Wow.
Because if you think about it, on YouTube, 700,000 hours of videos uploaded every minute, or maybe there's it's a really large number of how much video is being uploaded on YouTube every single day. And there's only 38%. Sorry, not 38. There's only 38 million channels on YouTube of the 8 billion population we have. So think about that. There's a ton of content being stored. And when it's being, uh, you know, gone through learning models and learning, hey, what's in this video, what product is being shown, AI is understanding, hey, I can then create this is what's happening in this scene. So again, there's a ton coming down the pike, and there's never too late for you to jump in and learn about AI and how you can use it for your business, for your uh, research. You want to use it as a research material, but then also go back to the sources that it's referring to. There's actually a really cool site called Consensus. It's designed for medical research. It's basically searching all the medical journals, and it gives you the sources of where and which journal you can go to search for that information.
So and just on that, so what kind of things have you done with AI for yourself?
Now, that's the question I love. What Right. So, what kind of things have I done with AI? Well, I've been able to create some really cool imagery for a couple of books that I've published. One was published last year. This is called Mastering iPhone Production. Again, sorry, Mastering iPhone Video Production. And that's because, again, I come from a filmmaking background,
Mhm.
and I wanted to use my iPhone as a video device. So, uh, I've got the book right here. So
Mm.
here's the first book, right? It's the iPhone video production. It talks about my journey on how I got into it, and then also gives you practical things for you to do when you're creating content with your iPhone or with your smartphone. So it's for, I focus it on iPhone because that's what I use, but you can technically learn from it when you're creating content with your standard Android as well. So the first half of the chapter is my story on how I got into it, and the last half of the book is all around the different software, different hardware, different things to stabilize, to make sure keep an eye out on what you should be doing. The second book that I published this year is actually a children's book, and it
Yeah.
was inspired by my 1 year old. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. He woke up crying, and I'm trying to put him back to sleep. I give him water, I change his diaper, give him some bananas. He loves bananas, by the way. And he's still not calming down. So I was like, okay, we have this poster board in his room. It has the alphabets with the animals and different
Mhm.
objects, starting with those letters. So as I'm recording, as I'm going through that board, I get to the letter V, and I see um, what did I see? I see a vulture and a violin.
Uh-huh.
Like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a vulture playing a violin? And then that basically sparked an idea of what if there was a book where animals starting with that letter were playing an
Mm.
instrument with that letter. So let me switch the camera real quick. Here's the book. It's called The A to Z Animal Alphabet Symphony. And here
I
you
love
see
that.
a lion playing a lute, an elephant playing an electric guitar. We've got zebra playing a zither, and we've got a giraffe playing a guitar. And then throughout the book, you could see all the fun things that people, animals are doing. The iguana on an iPad,
Oh,
and then I
wow.
also wanted to, I love poetry, so I've got two little verses here that an iguana with an iPad bright, drawing colors with delight. Right, so I had AI generate these images, and then having background in graphic design and whatnot, I was able to then put the rest of the book together for kids to consume. So that's
Wow.
what I got. That's what I did.
Wow.
And I've got to actually put a vulture on a Vespa instead of
Of course.
right. Of course, why not? You got to put a Vespa in there somehow.
Man, that is fantastic. I gotta say, and the the imagery is incredible. I mean, it's
Yeah,
beautifully done, and yeah, I mean, I gotta say that's so. Well, first of all, let everyone know how they can get a copy of that book.
absolutely. So you can head on to superjunaid.com /A2 zoo. So ATOZOO, and that'll take you directly to Amazon to get this book. And if you want the iPhone video production, you can go to superjunaid.com /iPhone video, and that will give you the book. Both are published on Amazon.
All right, fantastic. Now, let's get back to the home studios.
Yes.
Because that's, like I told, he has a lot of layers. I wanted to make sure I touched on all of them. So, and I'm sure he has more, but I want to. We're here for the home studios today. So, when do people hire you? When do they know to hire you?
So they've been doing research on cameras. They've been doing research on video. They're hanging out in the rooms where people are creating content. They're consuming a lot of YouTube video, and they're like, okay, I can do this. Or they don't have the time, but they've acquired all this gear and it's sitting in their closet, but they don't have the time to put it together or the knowledge, but they had the money to put it together. So they're like, okay, I need somebody who can make sense of what I've got and put it together. And that's where I come in. And if they're looking to learn more, so that's where my 8-week course come into handy. they can take the course and walk through their studio and draw the diagrams and figure out what needs to go in their space.
Okay, okay. So if someone is in a position right now where they, let's say, have a podcast. As a matter of fact, we got to talk about your podcast too. But let's say they have a podcast and they are, and I'm gonna probably step on some toes when I say this. I'm stepping on my own too, so I understand that. And they have, say, a green screen.
Hmm.
What is the when you look at it? What do you see when someone has a green screen behind them?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right away. Green screen is a great start. I mean, especially if you don't have a good looking background. But
Hmm.
the reason I don't recommend it is because to make the green screen look really right, you got to get the lighting right. You got to get the
Hmm.
video right. You got to get all of those things right before you add a green screen to it. Now,
Hmm.
we've seen a ton of sci-fi movies dating back to the 70s. They've used green screen,
Yeah,
but you can't tell because
they're
they
like,
spent the right time of equipment to put that together.
yeah.
But when we as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs use a green screen, we just use it as a crutch. Like, hey, I don't want
Mm.
to spend time here, but I could just put a virtual background. And so that's essentially, where the green screen comes in. Now, when the pandemic hit, the virtual backgrounds were a heaven sent
Yeah.
for Zoom, especially because there's a ton of kids that didn't have the space, that didn't have the 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 means to have a studio space or to have a dedicated space. So for them, it was really great. It also, it's also isolated them from, gave them privacy kind of thing. So again,
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
a multiple different level layers to that as well. So again, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's doing business on video, you want to look at, okay, how do I want to look to what's my first impression going to be when people look at me,
Yeah.
right? So think from those perspectives and go from there.
I like that. And here's the thing that I've at least shared with people, and tell me if you agree or not, because I get asked a lot of times about for podcasters about when they do video podcasts about their camera, and I usually tell them, I said, your lighting is more important than your camera. Is that
I
correct?
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to give lighting, and if you think about it, we usually work in the daytime
Mm-hmm.
because there's more light. You can see a lot more. You don't do a lot of work at nighttime, and even if you look at the night crews, look at the amount of lights that they put out so they can see properly. So that's what your camera needs. It needs the proper lighting so that it can see you, it can see what's going on, and it's not trying to, guess where you're going to be sitting.
Now, if someone were to hire you to help set up their home studio, what kind of a time frame would they be looking at to get it set up?
So if I'm going to somebody's place, it's going to take anywhere from around 2 weeks. The first week, we order all the equipment and get it
Mm-hmm.
delivered. It might
Mm-hmm.
take 1 week to 2 weeks to get all the things delivered. But once everything is delivered, I show up and we're basically up in a couple of days.
Okay. I need that to know that for myself. But
Yeah.
but but I'm
And if
also
you're doing virtually, it's around the same time, depending
mm,
on how fast did they want to work with, and put stuff together. So it takes around the same time, anywhere from I would say 2 to 3 weeks is what the actual timeline would look like.
so when you say virtually, how do they do that virtually? I know that's what somebody's
So
watching wondering.
virtually, what I do is I set up their studio space in 3D using a software that it's the same kind of software that you see on HGTV. They're like, hey, this is what your home could look like, the
Yeah. Yeah.
renovations, right? So that's why I call it the Home Studio Rehab Challenge because we're rehabbing your home office space. And so we use a similar kind of software that gives me the dimensions of where what the room looks like and where all the things are going to go, and then I can show them, hey, this is what your room's going to look like, this is where you need to put the lighting, this is where you want to put the camera so you don't see any doors or any windows or anything in the
Right,
shot,
right.
right? So using the software has has enabled me to go much farther. And I actually remodeled our own kitchen using the software as well, so it was a lot of fun to now build studios
Oh,
using
that's
it.
cool. That is very cool. Now, those of you who are listening, you're probably wondering, well, how much does this cost? I'm not asking them about the cost because everyone, I'm sure, may have a different cost. So what you'll have to do is you're gonna have to schedule it with them, and we're gonna let you know how to do that, how to do that later. I'm not getting in his pockets with you guys, okay? So we're not doing that. But what I am gonna ask him is this: would it be more costly for someone if they try to do all of this by themselves?
Well, it's going to cost you in time,
Mm, mm.
right? It's going to cost you in time because I have, over 10 years of experience of setting up stages, setting up spaces. And it took me about 6 months to get it just right for my own space because I'm learning, I'm applying it to my space, waiting on the stuff to deliver. Like this bookshelf took a long time to deliver behind me. And again, so those are things that you can't really control, and especially during a pandemic, right? So the what's cool is that now you can literally walk into Walmart, you can literally walk into Home Depot, and they have these LED lights that you can pick up. They have all
Yeah,
these colorful lights, they have all these colorful panels
true.
because they started seeing, hey, more and more people are doing live streaming. They need this equipment. We got to start stocking it here as well. So you have a lot more options to where to buy equipment from now than when I was starting. So again, yes, it's going to cost you in time. You can absolutely do it on your own, and that's why there's a ton of videos, and that's why I did a course because hey, there's a ton of people that want to do DIY, and they can walk through the course and they can learn all the things that they need to know to be able to put it together.
No, I love that because I remember hearing someone say, time is money, time is money. It's like, no, time is more valuable than money.
Hmm.
I can go make more money. I can't make more time, and neither can you. So,
Yeah.
like when he said it costs you in time, that's a big statement right there. And I hope you
Hmm.
guys watching understand how powerful that statement is. I mean, hopefully you'll put that in the feed or something when you're watching this because time is so much more valuable than money. I used an example to someone that said, "Hey,
Hmm.
if I told you you could have, you know, $100 million, would you want it?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, if I told you you'd have $100 million, but you were going to die in 3 days, would you want it?" And they're like, "Well, no." I said, "So the time is more important. The time
Uh-huh.
is more valuable." And
Exactly.
as my good friend Dr. Myron Golden said, it's infinitely more valuable than
Oh
money.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it
time.
absolutely is more valuable than money.
So understand when he says it's going to cost you in time, that's time that you could be using to progress your business, progress your broadcast, progress your podcast, whatever it is. So understand that whatever the expenses or investment is in getting your home studio put together by having a professional do it, it's worth it. I mean, it's kind of like, if you don't know how to work on cars, and instead of going to the mechanic, you decide, I'm going to just learn to work on cars while your car's sitting there broken down.
Mhm.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. You go to the
Yeah.
professional, let them go ahead and fix your car, and then you can
Yeah.
work on it later. If you want to learn how to do it later, you can, but get the professional to do it. So I want to ask you, when putting together a home studio for someone, what are the biggest challenges I think that I would say that you run into when you're trying to put that together?
Mostly, people's times. Hey,
Okay, back to time
make
again.
sure that time again, man, time again. But what's fun is that I've worked with enough people now that I've got the solution for almost everything, right? And
Okay.
if I don't have the solution, I go ask other experts. I go talk and get better at, hey, what am I missing? What can we do better? And what's cool is technology is always enhancing and upgrading over time. So again, um, sometimes the products or the hardware doesn't arrive on time, so now you got to wait. I think it's pretty straightforward, as long as you're willing to make changes to your room. You're willing to put stuff on the wall. You're willing to set things up the right way. Then you're gonna be able to set up that studio.
Okay, okay. So now I want to, because I know we got a lot of podcasters here who are watching, or budding podcasters, or people who are thinking about a podcast. So first of all, tell us what is the name of your podcast, Junaid?
Absolutely. So my podcast is called Hacks and Hobbies: Passion to Profit Stories.
Hacks and Hobbies. Say it one more time. The last second part.
Passion, Hacks and Hobbies: Passion to Profit Stories.
And tell us, what is your podcast centered around?
So it's centered around entrepreneurs taking their passion to profit,
I like that.
because that's something that I wanted to do. I'm like, hey, I have a
Uh,
passion in so many different things. How can I take it to the next level? And my first season is all around me documenting my journey as a beekeeper, as a video production guy. Of just documenting who I am, where I am, and where am I going. And then I kind of got tired of talking to myself and talk about the same thing over and over. I was like, hey, I wonder if there's other people that I can interview. And that's when I did the pivot and started interviewing people on my podcast. And what I realized after interviewing so many people is that there's only one path, and that's through the fire, right? That's
mm,
through putting in the work. There's no shortcut to excellence. You got to put in the work to get it. Now you can um, get there faster by hiring a professional, by
uh-huh.
working with somebody who's already been through, right? The reason we use GPS now is because it tells you, hey, take this route, go this way, and you're gonna get there fast. I mean, you can try using landmarks to get somewhere, and that's how we did things back in the days, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
again, with technology, we can get there faster, but you still need to put in the work. You still need to put in the time to get better at your own craft.
I love it. So with your podcast, how many guests have come on and said, "Oh, I love your studio. I love how you get your set up."
Almost every single person has said, "Wow, I am watching. Are you are you on NBC? Are you in like a studio?" I'm like, "Yes, this is a studio." So it's been a lot of fun, talking to people and them seeing my evolution as well.
Mm. Oh wow! So like when you started your podcast, did you already have it set up, or did you evolve it?
No, I did not. I started my podcast in 2018. My first season was all recorded in my car.
Really?
It was a solo episode, right? So I record on my phone, and the second season is when I started recording in my office space, but I didn't do video because we're still focusing on audio, and the pandemic hadn't hit, right? So that was
Got it.
2018 and 2019, and
You did
then
like
in
Russell Brunson.
2020, yeah, exactly. It was you could see these ugly yellow walls in my backdrop, and all these uh, fun things, and then it evolved, and it's just amazing what I'm able to do now.
That is wonderful, man. I love hearing that. So here's what before we wrap up here, I want to give you an opportunity to share with everyone all of the things that you offer and how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out how to get a home studio set up by you, a professional.
Absolutely. So head on over to homestudiomastery.com, and you should be able to book a consult with me, and I can walk you through, hey, this is what you need to think about, or just talk to me, hey, what are you looking to do? And that's going to help you get to little closer to where you want to be, so you can go through my 5-day challenge. Home studio rehab is another way that I'm doing the challenge. You can get to learn how to do that. You can download these 7 levels of home studio evolution, as well as the 30-day video challenge, so you can get confidence on camera. Then they have the 8-week course, and virtual consults, so I can walk you through and set up your studio. Or if you don't have the time, you can fly me in, and I can set up your studio within a week, and you are golden.
I love it. I love it. You heard it, guys. So make sure you get with Junaid, get that set up for yourself. Junaid, I want to thank you again for joining me today on Media Boss Live, my friend.
Thanks so much, Barrett, for bringing me on, Dr. Barrett. This has been a lot of fun. Got to relive some of the things that I gone through, and well, looking forward to talking to you again.
Me too, my friend. Hey, and everybody, remember, I said coming up in April, we're going to be doing a Media Boss Masterclass to show you how you can actually earn six figures in 6 months by using media. That's right, six figures in 6 months. I'm going to show you how to do that. Make sure you stay tuned because I'll let you know how to be a part of the Media Boss Masterclass. I want to thank Junaid Ahmed for joining me today. I want to thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you next time on Media Boss Live.